if there is an AI explosion, the number one industry you think that would benefit is kind of the picks and shovels play. The companies actually building the equipment to make the chips. They've been great investments forever. It would be logical that would flow through into the era of AI. But, if everything just kept moving up into the right, that had moved up into the right, it would be free money, right? And that's not how the stock market works. We're seeing new dynamics in this space. Essentially, the companies that are building kind of the most advanced leading edge equipment, Taiwan Semiconductor's doing great, Samsung's not doing great, and Intel's doing even worse. So they don't have quite the diversified customer base they used to have. There's geopolitical concerns. They're kind of being used as pawns in this game. And what we saw from Lam Research is excellent earnings, but its primary competitor, which is named Tokyo Electron, they pulled their guidance for sales next year and said it's a longer recovery than they expected. So Lam Research itself, great earnings, but they're just falling because of what's going on with competitors in the general space. So the big picture here, Austin, is we're just going to continue limiting our exposure to the semiconductor equipment, the people who make the machines to make the chip space. Because for now, it seems like it's still a very challenged area, and we'll stick with Lam Research because they seem the best of the bunch of the big companies in the space, and we have a more specialized play in Camtech, which is focused more on the growth of some of the newer memory products. So I'm happy to keep both of those stocks. I think that covers most of our earnings. Probably not all, but most of our earnings, Austin.
Probably not all, but impressive coverage there, Eric. I'll give you a bit of a breather there. Maybe when you talk about Lam Research and some of the challenges that we see in that sector, some of it's competitive based, some of it is just outside of their control. I get echoes back to some of the conversations we had around ASML, an incredible company that has phenomenal technology that's at a essential juncture for the growth of artificial intelligence, but they've got growing unknown competition from China. And to some extent, their future feels out of their control because they get played as a geopolitical piece. So I'm not saying Lam Research and ASML are necessarily perfect analogies, but there's similar reasons here why we are not why we're not exposing ourselves to what people might say are like, the obvious plays. Like, why don't just put all your portfolio in, Lam or ASML or Taiwan Semi? And here's why, right? There's factors like this beyond these companies' control that we can't see past. And when you're at a moment in history when technology is accelerating at these sort of rates, you want nothing impeding that growth. You don't want any curveballs coming in, taking you out of the game for 18 months while tariffs get negotiated, right? Because then competitors can move ahead.